Do you know Matthew Lillard? Matthew Lillard was the guy who portrayed Shaggy Rogers from Scooby-Doo in the first live-action Scooby-Doo movie. He reprised his role in the sequel to that movie. However, he then is now the official voice of Shaggy Rogers after 2009. So with that being said, the funny thing about this is that Matthew Lillard also played the role of William Afton in the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. So I don't think I need to explain the premise of Scooby-Doo or Five Nights at Freddy's, given the popularity of these two series, but it's very interesting that both series are very similar in tone and portrayal. The interesting thing, however, about the movies in question is that in those two movies, unlike the rest of the series for the most part, the monsters are real. They aren't simply shady business owners in masks. However, if you take the roles of Matthew Lillard and kind of put them on one timeline, it creates a very interesting narrative, because now you have a young man who's gone across the country unmasking shady business owners portraying themselves to be monsters, only to then be put in a situation, multiple situations at that, in which monsters and supernatural occurrences are real. Years later, he himself becomes a shady business owner in being William Afton, who does find himself in a suit, supposedly like the many business owners that he stopped in his youth. And much like how those business owners were stopped by meddling kids, he too was stopped by meddling kids, because the children that William Afton trapped in those animatronic suits make sure that he suffers the same fate. So yes, I found that super interesting, that if you do connect Matthew Lillard to these two franchises, you can get a really interesting timeline of how a hero then becomes a villain, being the monster that he once stopped. But with that being said, give me your thoughts and tell your friends about Polypede. What's it?